if you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now. I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds.
Get those nerds!
And here the nerds are, right here. You got them. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Bid Nerds. My name is JP. I am the host of Bid Nerds. I'm coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, right on the Las Vegas Strip. It's right below me. My partner right over there, Michael Deep. He's coming to you from San Francisco, California. It's foggy over there. What's up, Michael Deep? How you doing?
Good morning, JP.
Are we going to get kicked off YouTube because we had a shotgun in our ad?
I hope so.
We just dropped that ad yesterday. We've only put it out organically, and it's been so much fun. I don't know how many comments people were like, "Damn it, I corrected you in the middle," and that it did exactly. So I think we're gonna have to do a bunch of them. We're gonna have to do like an E30 versus an E36 or a Defender versus a G-Wagon. We're just gonna do a S ton of them and put them out there. So,
man, cousin Mark loved it.
Yeah,
he said, "All is forgiven, JP. You are funny as f."
Cousin Mark, I still don't forgive you. You gotta post that stuff on the interwebs, my man. Come on, get out there, brother.
Listen, it's interesting because yesterday was so epic. We had arguably our best content show ever with Paul Kramer from the Auto Kennel as a third nerd, an expert panelist and guest, and we were Porsche heavy yesterday. Simultaneously, we had arguably one of our worst produced show because of the technical issues with the interwebs and the solar flare that obviously is coming. And then later in the day, you dropped our first commercial, which has been received by everybody really, really well. It's working. We have traction, my friend, and the evil empire is growing.
We're doing it here, man. It is such a bummer that we lost the first 10 minutes of the show because we had some gold in there.
Like 20
Paul,
minutes.
Yeah, Paul, thank you so much again. If you're watching, he says he watches all the time, which I'm sure he wasn't lying. I'm sure he wasn't just telling us that to make us feel better. But if you are watching, Paul, thanks again for being out here. It was great. We're going to get you back on ASAP as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. If it wasn't too damning to your reputation, we want you on all the time. We love you.
We're just a couple of yahoos. This is entertainment. We are not experts. This is your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day, on cars and bids, Bring a Trailer, and all the other kind of emerging automotive enthusiast auction websites that are just popping up everywhere. It's like firecrackers and 4th of July. It's like dandelions in spring. It's like you get an auction, you get an auction, you get an auction. Everybody's got an auction now. I was checking. I talked to our code writer and I'm like, how much does it cost to actually write? Do this. So maybe we'll have a Bid Nerds auction soon. But the thing is about our show, and there's a lot of people out there commenting. It seems like Doug is talking about his thing. Some of the other guys are doing podcasts and stuff about but they're all like commercials for themselves. We are beholden to no one. We are a couple of independent nerds. We don't give a rat's about any of the cars or anything because they're not ours. Nobody's paying us, to review any of these cars. We pick the most interesting cars of the day based on what we think is interesting and what you tell us is interesting. Sometimes the cars are like the most amazing car you've ever seen. Sometimes they're complete piles of junk, but that's sometimes what makes them interesting. And I think what's most interesting about our conversations and what we're learning more and more as we continue to do this show is how certain cars are better on one platform or another. And it's very interesting to watch what some of the platforms are doing. Some of the platforms just keep getting better and better. Other ones are just flailing. And when the pressure of some of the other ones that are coming out is applied to these ones that are flailing, it'll be very interesting. Bring a Trailer probably sells more Porsches in a day than P-Car Market sells all week. I don't know how the hell, they must have a lot of seed money to keep them going because...
And what P-Car Market has had to do, and they'll be the first to admit this. This is we're not picking on them. Is they are now selling other brands of cars. I mean, that's the only way they're going to keep their thing afloat is to offer the alternative, right? So, here's a Porsche, here's a Porsche, here's a Porsche. Well, here's a BMW and a Ferrari to look at.
Yeah.
And
as well as like oil cans and signs and just like weird Porsche. It's almost like the toy and lit show on an auction site.
I'll never forget the day I turned on Bring a Trailer and they were selling canoes. I mean, my goodness. If ever there was a sign that the end is nigh, it's because Hearst Media bought them, and now the bicycles and canoes are fair game. So good luck with
well, they're still bringing all the money. That is obviously the king platform. They are the game to beat, and good luck with any newcomer trying. And to that end, we actually have some great guests coming up next week. We're going to have Bradley Brownell from the new Rad for Sale. He's one of the original founders of Radwood. So Bradley's coming on the show next week. We've got Mauricio from the Three Pedal Posse up in the Northwest. He's going to join us next week. So I think we're going to be like third nerd heavy all week next week. It's going to be fun.
Awesome stuff.
Good
okay,
times.
so let's talk about the cars from yesterday if you're ready.
Yeah, and just for the record, when Deep says let's talk about the cars from yesterday, what we do on this thing is not only do we nerd out on the cars, we also make predictions as to what we think they will actually sell for when they hit the auction block. So before we get to today's big car of the day, the car I'm super excited about, that 1988 Volkswagen Scirocco 16 valve. Oh, be still my heart. That was my dream car in high school. I so loved that thing. I had an 8 valve, but anyways, we'll get to that when we get there. First, we're going to do yesterday's cars very quickly, and then we'll move on to the cars of the day. So stick around, subscribe, and like while you're doing it. Michael D., what did we talk about yesterday?
Okay, so again, JP, I want to remind our audience that we had a third nerd yesterday with us, Paul Kramer from the Auto Kennel, who is an aficionado of all cool sports cars as long as they have 3 pedals, and absolutely a Porsche nerd and expert, was our guest.
Unlike us, we are not experts.
Right. So while we made guesses, he made guesses too. And to be perfectly honest, JP, and I know we don't keep Paul's score, but that's like when you send your kid to play soccer and they say, we don't keep score anymore. The parents know who won. Yeah. So technically, I won 2 and you won 3. But if we include Paul's scores, he won 2 of them yesterday. He did really good.
Yeah. On his very first try.
On his very
on Bid Nerds,
Imagine that. All right, so without further ado, our star car, our car we led off with, was this incredible 2002 Porsche 911 GT2. This is the 996 generation. This is the great Widowmaker because they did basically an X50 turbo of the Metzger engine in a rear-wheel drive platform with no driver aids. So this is a legendary car. And somehow I feel, we kind of talked about this on the show, that they languish in value. So anyways, our car, JP, if you can remind me, had really low miles. I think it was like
15,000, yeah.
15,000 miles, and was beautifully clean. But Paul was quick to point out that this is probably the last color you'd want because they made so many in silver and that kind of like seal gray. So any off-colored GT2 would probably bring a premium. But as such, despite the low miles and great condition, he thought this car would be a little low. So I didn't. I went all in. I said 120,000. You took a much more conservative tack and said 99,000. Kramer said 110, and this thing sold for 112. So technically, I got the win over you by $1,000, but Kramer was right on the money at 110,000. He was $2,000 off. So I'll take the win, and I'll thank him for the assist.
This car, and the thing is, we all talked about it, is platform. This car would have brought another $20,000 at least on Bring a Trailer. The color thing, I know that he deals with a certain type of clientele. The people that buy from him are buying the best of the best, and they are collectors. He does tend to get those eclectic LA buyers that want the super crazy colors. But honestly, for my money, if I'm buying a GT2, I want a silver one. What I want is a black one, and I know you're not a big black car guy, but
no, it would be savage and black. It would look like Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean, but silver or black. I mean, this car, you guys had one at Godin when you were over there, Godin Classic of Las Vegas. Go check those guys out if you're in town to do some gambling. They had one of these that was, the identical
8,000 miles. Yeah. 8,000 miles, JP. We had that car for almost 2 years. We couldn't sell it at $150,000. It was crazy.
But and that was a year, 2 years ago, and now 996s are coming up, and I think a GT2, I think at $112, whoever bought this off P-Car Market took advantage of the soft platform and it just really got a good deal. That was really really well bought. And the seller, I feel bad for him that they sold on this platform because that car is just blue chip, man. But hey, that's all right. They sold it, so they must be happy, and all parties are good because this car is on the road. All right, what's the next car that we talked about?
So staying on P-car market, we looked at a 1992 911 America Roadster. This is the 964 wide body, rear wheel drive. I am a huge fan of this car and absolutely love them. Now, reading the ad a little deeper, we see that those are not authentic cup wheels. These are knockoffs. So the question begs, what happened to the original set of wheels for this car? And if you're going to bother to retail the car, why wouldn't you just go buy a used set off eBay and put tires on those? Why spend the money on brand new knockoffs? That doesn't make sense to me. That and this entire car was repainted. So with 38,000 miles, why would you have to repaint the whole car? So there's some strange stuff here. With that going on, with that in mind, JP, I thought a 38,000 mile triple black America Roadster should bring about $115,000 to $120,000, and I said that on air yesterday. And I think you and Paul agreed with me that this car should bring double what a typical 964 C2 with similar condition and miles should bring, which I thought was very astute by him, which still would park the value of this car at about $110,000, $115,000. You guys, we all bet platform on market. The audience isn't as strong, even for great niche Porsches like this. So I said 98,000. You took a much more conservative tack again and said 80,000. And Kramer again split the difference at 89,000. This car was bid to $87,250, which means technically you won it because you were within $7,000 of it. I would just to say that my 98,000 turns out to be $3,000 off the deal tank value on the car at 95,000, where this car remains available. And then Kramer, to his credit, was only off by $2,000. But again, the car didn't sell at that price, which we all wondered where the reserve would be. So you got the win, but Kramer technically gets the assist because he was right there. So anyways, really fun cars on P-Car Market. Two beautiful Porsches that you and I would both love to have.
That car would have sold on Bring a Trailer and would have brought...
For more.
Wait, I mean, it would have brought the double the 964 money. I mean, a black on black Roadster. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's how that car fails to sell. That is pure platform. I mean, here's the thing. You know, there's you can do all the research you want, but just knowing what you're talking about really is king. And we don't do any research.
Tell the audience, JP, who commented on our commercial.
No. We'll move on. We'll move on that. You know, so I love this car, and you know I'm a black on black guy, and I wish I could have bought this thing, but you know, there you go. What are you gonna do? I've got a snot nose right now that I got to get rid of. So, all right, what is the next car?
Okay, so the next car we looked at, we went to Bring a Trailer to look at a 993 C2 cab with, God, JP, wasn't it like 8,000 miles or something really low?
Something really low, yeah.
I can't remember now. It was very low miles, 18,000 miles or something. I don't know, but Kramer was really educated us on this one because listen, while I was working
and I own one, and he told us things about it that I didn't know.
While I was working for Godden, we struggled to sell a pair of really nice 993 convertibles. One was a 95, and the other one was a 96 Vario Ram in yellow with bill stings and a chip. I mean, an exhaust. That car was awesome. I should have bought it myself. A yellow with black, and it was just a beautiful car. But anyways, I digress. Here's our car, and so I thought 68,000 was high because we struggled to sell ours in the 50s. You went 70 based on Kramer educating us that this car will bring a lot of money, and so he said 77,500. Both of you guys weren't far off. This car sold for 72,500, which was really a bit of a surprise to me, and it put you right on the money. So well done to that one, and that was really fun having Paul on to talk about 993s, which he obviously knows really well.
Well, here you go, man. If there's ever a platform-to-platform comparison, you've got a Roadster, a 964, the hottest Porsche platform on the market right now. 964s are what everyone wants. So you've got a wide body black on black roadster on a platform that claims to be all about Porsches. And then you've got Bring a Trailer over here that has, I mean, a run of the mill 993 convertible. Yeah, it has low miles, but it's not even a great color combo. I mean, the silver is not, it's Arctic silver with, does this one have gray interior or black?
No, black.
Remember. It does have black. Okay, so that's great. You know, so, but it's just a basic 993. There's nothing special about this car. It's not a one of what, you know, how many roadsters did they make? A few hundred. This car, you can find 993 cabs for days. And this car brought, the bid was almost as much as that special car and P car market. Yeah. Choosing the platform when you're going to sell your car is so important. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a better example. Regular run-of-the-mill 911 convertible 993 brings almost as much money as a super uber rare special 964 on another platform. Guys, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to figure this one out.
We get it. You know, like sometimes you want to sell your car yesterday and you can get right into cars and bids or P-car market, and you have to wait in line to get your thing unapproved and back and forth. You've just been through this with your Cayenne on to Bring a Trailer. But I mean, my God, you certainly don't want to lose at $87,000 for an America Roadster that should have brought at least $110,000. You don't want to leave $23,000 on the table, do you?
Yeah, and not sell at all. And not
to mention that car is still for sale.
Yeah, exactly. This 993 is going to a new owner, and the seller's got to be like, what happened? You know what? I got to buy some GameStop now. Jeez. All right, let's go.
Okay.
What else did we talk about yesterday?
On Bring a Trailer was that just hacked up 97 Boxster with smacked of plagiarism from a.
I'm pretty sure it brought more than that Roadster did on P-car.
This car was crazy. I mean, clearly, JP, the guy made this thing an absolute driver to the point where it's hardly recognizable as a Boxster platform. I mean, the initial thumb on that, with you look at the front end with the 996 turbo front air dam, literally fooled me. I skipped over this looking for your selection. I was like, that's a turbo. I'm like, oh no, that's the Boxster. Holy hell. So anyway,
that front clip looks really good.
I have to admit, or I should. I don't have to admit, but I will bust. Cousin Mark loved this thing. He said he would totally drive this car, which is hilarious. So, anyways. It's really funny because we wondered where this car might go. And I literally said on the show, if you listen to it, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this car brought $24,000. So anyways, I said 19.5. You said 22. Paul bet under me at 18. The car sold for $24,000. So you got the win. And I did not trust my instinct enough to get the Yahtzee. That's a bummer. Yeah,
you could have gotten one there. This car would be such a great DE car day. A DE car. I mean, you just go out and mob it on the track. I mean, not a competitive car, but just go rip it. It's got a 3.4 in it. These things are. I've driven Mark I Boxers with a 3.4. It's so good.
So I would say I would agree. I would say that this car being a convertible, even though they put a roll bar in it, I would say as a convertible, this would be a great autocross car because you're not going wheel to wheel with anybody, and there's not retaining walls. Usually, you're just in a parking lot. You lose control, you spin out. So to me, that would be the ideal thing to do.
What are you talking about? I mean, people have open cars on DE days and track days all the time. I mean, Le Mans started with cars with open top. I mean, most
and
DE days
died all the time.
People do require you to have the top up when you. I mean, no, this is great DE day. Yeah, competitively, not so much.
Yeah,
not so much.
Our final car of the day wound up catching everybody out. We all drooled over this 1972 Chevy K5 Blazer that had a 350 in it, manual transmission, beautiful orange paint. Anyway, just really cool. We kind of lamented how these old hippie cars from the 70s have become collector items, and we all overshot this one. So I said,
wait. Blah, blah, blah. Did you just use hippie in reference to a K5 Blazer?
Totally.
That is the most inaccurate thing we've ever said on this show ever. This is the car that you had back in the 60s and 70s to drive over hippies and to go and drive onto their commune and just do burnouts and rip down all their tents and stuff like that. There's no hippies driving a Blazer. This is way too cool a car for a hippie.
I grew up in San Francisco, and when I was a kid in the 70s, there were hippie communes living in these things. So.
You could put about 50 people in the back of that thing.
Totally.
They're all eating Okay. All right. We'll let it slide this one time.
Anyway, I said $44,000. You went over me by $5,000 at 49, and Kramer went even higher still at 51.
Yeah, Kramer wanted this car, didn't he?
Yeah,
and you know why he wanted it? Because I proved to him that this is more Porsche than Porsche. Because the color wasn't just the bright color wasn't just because somebody wants to paint the sample orange Porsche. This is because when you roll down the hill, they can find you in a helicopter.
Way to go, JP. He's never coming on the show
Form follows
again.
function. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, this car I'd say was well bought at $40,000 and still well sold. $40,000 for a K5 Blazer. My God, that's a ton of money. For a just an old American thing. It's just awesome, though. Really awesome. I actually would love to drive one of those. It seems like it wouldn't make sense in Vegas without AC, but if you lived out in Santa Monica, that'd be the car to have.
Yeah, you could put an AC in one of these. I mean, it's got a big water pumper engine. It'd be easy enough to slap one in there, and the top comes off. How fun would this be to roll down the strip? Man, because that'd be just a blast. So, anyways,
beautiful car.
All right. Well, that's.
I have fallen back in love with that style of vehicle, though.
Yeah,
since we've been doing the show, I'm gonna get some sort of off-road vehicle. It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. All right, guys. Well, there it is. That was the cars of yesterday. Those are the cars we nerded out. They're the most interesting cars of the day yesterday. So let's get to the most interesting cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer today. I am super excited about our lineup today. Actually, I could care less about our lineup. I only care about one car from today. We can basically do the first car, and then I can just sign off if you and the dog want to do the rest of the show. That'd be fine with me because this is you and Patootie.
Me and Patootie will boost ratings while you take a nap. I promise.
Patootie's got this.
Yes.
What do you know about Scirocco's? Not a damn thing.
Okay.
All right. So there it is. Let's talk about a Scirocco. Oh, my God. I love this car. Look at this car.
So, JP, anytime I see one that looks like it would roll on its own accord, I'm going to pick it, and we'll review it because I know how much you love them. Again, my uncle had one and sold Volkswagens when I was a kid, so I kept thinking that, as I was rolling into my adolescent years, that I would be able to buy a brand new Scirocco when I turned 16 because I wanted to think I was spoiled. Nothing could be my father for the truth. But anyway, 1988 Volkswagen Scirocco 16 valve out of East Greenwich, Rhode Island, with about 170,000 miles on it. Unfortunately, JP, the interior of this car is roached out. Those original seats look like they're about to fray. The dashboard has several cracks in it. And the car, upon closer inspection, has a terribly cheap repaint where I would be willing to bet that they didn't even tape. They just sprayed. I mean, it's really bad. If you look at there's a photograph. There's a photograph where they open up the gas door, the fuel filler door, and you really get the sense of the bodywork versus what they didn't spray. I mean, there's no prep work involved. That being said, I'm excited that more and more of these 80s and 90s era Volkswagens are coming to market. There is either a Jetta GLI or a Mark II 16 valve in my future. I will make room in the garage or I'll build another garage to get one because I really want one of these cars. It's just not going to be this one. So I don't know, not a lot of stories here. Some modifications. It's got Coney reds and H&R springs. It's got European headlights and obviously the hella fog lights hanging off the bottom. BBS wheels apparently didn't come stock on the car. Wouldn't this car, JP, have come with the teardrops, right?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah, 14-inch teardrops versus these 15-inch BBS wheels. So, in theory, this car probably rolls right. But just when you look at how little attention has been paid to the upkeep on this car, it wouldn't surprise me if this car smelled like cigarettes and dogs. So, anyways, I'm not into it. But I don't know. It's like dolphins cry when Volkswagens get treated like this. I don't know. It's just weird.
These cars were cheap for a very long time, so the level of ownership, the people that have owned these cars for the last 20 years were not people that have really been paying attention to maintenance. So that's why that's why when these do pop up and they're in nice condition or really nice condition, they're just ready to bring all the money in the world. Yeah, because guys our age, you said it, we were in high school and this was the car to have. The rich kid in school had one of these. I had an 82 82 Scirocco, which was the same body style. It was a second, it was the second generation, even though it was still based on the A1. And my car was lowered, and I had a cam in it, and it was black, and it was actually as fast off the line because it had a lot more torque than the 16 valve. The 16 valves, you really had to wind the living daylights out of them to get them to go.
Right.
But my buddy got one of these. He had a red one just like this, but his was perfect. He got one of the last ones in Washington State, and it was and he had the Euro bumpers. The Euro bumpers look so good on these cars too.
Cool.
So this car really brings me back. Unfortunately, you're right. It's just not a clean one. So where do you think this thing's gonna land?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This one is not Jason Camissa approved. He's got a beautiful sort of champagne colored one that he's owned for years. I mean, like a really long time. And Jason does subtle mods that you will never see by standing on the street looking down at the car. This car, I would say, JP, is really too far gone to take on as an investment to bring back to clean, cool standards. So it's at $5,700, but it's only on 4 bids. Now, it does have 4 hours to go, but this car is in Rhode Island, and it just doesn't show well. So, man, let me see. It's at $5,700. It's okay. I'm looking at my bid going, that sounds high, but I put $6,900. So I'm hoping this car will bring another $1,200, but there's so little action on it. It may only get 1 or 2 more bids, which might land it like right at $6,000. So I'll change my bid to $6,500 and leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, this video is not helping the guy. I mean, he's driving it poorly. He's driving around, the neighborhood. This is just a cardinal sin. Look, you don't make this video, okay? Yeah. If you're going to make a driving video, get somebody to sit in the back, put the lens on wide, and find a road that's out in the middle of nowhere somewhere where there aren't cars and traffic, and you don't have to stop at lights. This is a video of someone's dashboard. Are you kidding me? Dude, what the hell? And, it's even really just bad. Looking at this, it looks like are all the wheels like square? I mean, the car just looks like it's wobbling. I mean, I don't know if that's bad camera work or if it just looked, God, whatever. This car's a hunk of junk.
In of itself, it's terrible. Yeah, it's really bad. So what do you think, JP?
I don't think it gets another bid. Whatever it's at right now, that's where it stays. I think it's DOA.
Okay, cool. So boom, 5,700.
And that happens on cars and bids regularly. Which
is a shame.
Yeah, I like cars and bids. I love, Doug DeMuro. I love what he's doing. I love that he made an alternative to BAT, and he's kind of started this whole trend. But it seems like he's letting a lot of cars on that maybe he shouldn't. Right. This one, even though it's rough and it's a bad Scirocco, I don't necessarily disagree with him allowing this on the platform because at the end of the day, it's still a 16 valve Scirocco. And if somebody wanted something to restore or something like that, I mean, the amount of Sciroccos that are available on the market at any given time is like 2, if you're lucky. So I don't have a problem with this being on the platform. I just think he needs to give the people a little bit more guidance on how to, make ads and stuff like that. But of course, then again, Doug DeMuro talking about the production value is laughable. Right. So I don't know. Yeah. And somebody's gonna have to ship this thing from wherever it is in a snow place. So you're definitely not driving this thing home, unless you're unless you're local, Put it on Craigslist or OfferUp.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's got to be a regional sale because who's going to spend the money? $6,000 and then you're going to spend another $2,000 to ship? No way.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to the next car. That's it's kind of a bummer, but I do still love the idea. I am romantic for Volkswagen Sciroccos, especially a red on black 16 valve. What's next, Michael Deeb?
All right, so here, JP, I'm going to make a bold 2-day prediction for our next car. So we're going to jump over to Bring a Trailer and look at a 1986 Alfa Romeo. It's interesting, JP, until I started looking at this car today, and we have tomorrow a 1987 944S. JP, correct me if I'm wrong, but the S version at 190 horsepower was the most powerful 944 that had those funny bumpers. Because
hold on. What year?
1987.
So the 87, the 87 didn't have the upgraded bumpers. They had the old bumpers. Right. Okay, right. If that's what you meant. I'm not sure if I understood.
Okay, So I have never thought about the Alfa Romeo GTV6 and the 944 as being comparable cars. But what we're looking at here is a 43,000 mile Alfa that's really clean that is probably going to bring, or at least it'll be interesting, see if this car brings more money than a 944S out of the Bay Area that's going to close tomorrow, also on Bring a Trailer, that has less miles. When by all accounts, the 944 is more reliable, better performing car, and also equally rare. But this Alfa is going to bring more money. And so it just, as I was contemplating the two auctions closing, two cars that I would love to own, it became really interesting to me to realize these cars are actually very similar. They have hatchbacks, they're front engine, they're rear wheel drive. They make, similar horsepower. This makes similar horsepower to a 944. This 2.5 liter V6 makes about 150 horsepower, and a 944 has a 2.5 liter inline four that makes about 160 horsepower. So these cars actually, I never remember a magazine comparing the two in a performance test, but as we look back on them as collectibles, they sort of occupy a similar niche. And so it'll be interesting to juxtapose these two auctions. Our car here has 43,000 miles and is offered out of Palm Springs, California. Similar to your take on the Scirocco's from that era, most of these Alfas traded hands for so little money that the custodians didn't have the money to take good care of them. So it is extremely rare. I would say on record that it'll take 2 or 3 years before we see another GTV6 that is this clean come into the auction space, because there's just not that many out there that have been taken care of for so long. This, by all accounts, looks like to be on original paint and original interior. And as we look back on it today, it's got some really cool features with the 5-speed and those little nets in the headrests and stuff like that. So anyways, I think this car is going to sell for close to $30,000, where our 944S for tomorrow might struggle to find similar money. And that to me is shocking. So this, I thought, would be a great one to look at. What do you think, JP? Any interest in a hatchback Alfa, or is that like, yeah, cool from afar, but it's somebody else's problems?
Man, I'm a Porsche guy through and through, and I've owned so many 944s over the years, and I love 944Ss, and and it seems like the earlier bumper ones are actually becoming more popular than the later like S2 and turbo configuration, because they're a little bit more retro and a little bit more 80s. But looking at driving this Alfa, this is how you make a driving video,
right.
You get the camera a little far back. Look, you find a great road, and this is where I want to be right now. I don't want to be here sitting here talking to you. I don't want to, and I love my dog. I want to be sitting here next to my dog, but I'd way rather be in the cabin of this Alfa with my dog next to me doing what this guy's doing. This is just car porn right here.
Absolutely. He also has, JP, a walk around video in the street in front of his house at the golden hour, where the car is bathed in indirect light, and it's just a 30-second walk around the car, and it's an excellent take, I thought.
My first Scirocco, the car, it was kind of like my first car, because my first car was a Fiat 850 Spider, and of course it blew up very quickly. Yeah. And then I saved up and got an 84 Scirocco, and it was this same kind of bronzite gold color, which is not an exciting color, but when you have a design that's very, angular like this, with the sharp hard lines, this car kind of has Scirocco lines in a lot of way, right?
Yeah.
And I love this Alfa. I would way rather have this Alfa than the 944, hands down. Now, if I had to have one car and one car only, I'm going with the 944 because I kind of want to get where I'm going. But if this is a car to add to the collection, the Alfa for sure. Man. This thing is just romantic as hell.
JP, this car is on 15-inch wheels. It has inboard rear brakes. It's on torsion bar, I think, front suspension. There's really interesting aspects to this car. I would argue that if you could lower this car and put it on 16-inch wheels, it would be drop dead gorgeous. And I can already see black Durr stickers on the side of this car, right. And it would just they would pop on the champagne paint. But look at that. Isn't that a great take for a hobbyist? And I love that he's got the retro California black plates with the personalized GTV6. Normally personalized plates are just a haha, but on this it actually looks good. The black plates look really good on this car. So I really want this car, and I'm not in a position to buy it, and it really breaks my heart.
There's one more thing I want to mention about this car from a design point of view. It's this like atrium or stadium style like canopy. That's like a jet fighter pilot thing. You have so much glass, and the Germans and the Americans, they always want to, make cars that are safe. So they want to have that door that's all the way up to your neck. So you're just like peeking out over it. This, you sit in there and you feel like you can see everything. Look at the glass on that. It's like you can see everything around there. That is just great.
And it's tastefully, this guy lives in Palm Springs. It's tastefully lightly tinted, which I appreciate. You know,
Right,
like it's just a little bit cooler, but it doesn't have to be so blacked out that you can't see anything through it. Because I think the glass and being able to see through the car is part of the car's appeal, like to appreciate. But your little take made me think, yeah, it's almost as if Alfa hired a designer from Saab, right?
Yeah, right. Kind of has that. Okay, so where's this gonna land? You are the resident Italian car guy, so
Right.
I'm really leaning on you. I know that these go around 20 something for decent ones, but this one looks way above the word decent.
I would say the decent ones bring 15. This car's already at 23.7 on 19 bids, but it has not gotten any bids overnight, which makes me pause with caution just a little bit. So I was thinking that this car might bring like $35,000 to $38,000. Now, because there hasn't been any activity this morning, I'm wondering if it will in fact break 30,000. So I'm going to leave my bid where it's at 32, but I think the safe bet might be under me because it's just remarkable for a car, an Alfa from this era, to be in this original condition with such low miles. So it could break my bid, but it's not likely.
I want it. I love it. I'm going to say 30. Because
smart.
I do think at that number you've got a bunch of other options that are very cool as well. But boy,
like a 944S, which
or 944
which I think,
turbo.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
but
honestly,
does
for 30,
does the turbo bring more maintenance and problems like it does with a 911?
Yeah, no more than an Alpha. I mean, so certainly more than a normal 944. But
very good volley, my friend. Yeah. Very good volley. Absolutely.
And you can turn the screws on the turbo and get a lot more power out of it. But yeah, it is. True. I mean, just a beautiful car. Yeah. So good luck to the seller on that one. Great ad. Good job on the video too. All right, what's the next car?
Bid Nerd approved. We have to get some sort of award. Send that guy a basket of fruit and a cream soda. All right. Let's stay on Bring a Trailer, JP, and look at another car. I know that every once in a while I pull up a Cayman and you're like, who cares? But correct me if I'm wrong, that a 2008 Cayman S is clear of the IMS thing. Is that fair to say?
Negative, Ghost Rider. That is still a .1 M96 engine. So you are still... Yeah, you're still in the danger zone.
Then I'll just go ahead and turd all over this car for you. This car only has 5,000 miles. And when we talk about these cars that had these interior problems, JP cautions, not just me, but everyone who's listening, all 9 of us, that we should be careful that it's probably better when we see these cars with higher miles. I, of course, always gravitate to these like leftover gems that some, there's a fantasy where a husband bought this for a wife and parked it in the car. And she's like, oh, I thank you, honey, but I don't want to drive it. And it just got left there in a climate controlled garage waiting for somebody like me to steal it from them for a bargain price. This car is basically unused. 5,000 miles out of Saratoga Springs, New York. This is a Cayman S with the 3.4 liter flash 6. I love the 19-inch Carrera Classic wheels. JP, don't you have these on your 997 cab? They're gorgeous.
Yeah, I do. I'm a big fan. It's such a simple, perfect wheel.
It is. It really is. It looks so good on this car. I would actually say this car probably needs to be lowered. To me, this would be a great entry-level Porsche, or maybe even a great track toy, a second car, a great way in. But JP cautions, they're not immune to the intermediate shaft bearing problem. And this generation of motors from Porsche, your safer bet is the car that's been driven regularly, not the one that's been holed up in a garage for, in this case, 13 years. So maybe all that glitters is not gold. JP, your turn to turd.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is a beautiful car. It really does look hermetically sealed and in perfect condition. It doesn't have the Sport Chrono, which is really a problem on the 3.4. You really need that Sport Chrono to give it the extra poop for throttle response and stuff like that. Look, not only is IMS a problem, and I'm going to say, look, it's way less of a problem in the 08s than it is, say, in an 05, but it is still essentially the same thing. And, you also have bore scoring issues to worry about. You also have cylinder oil starvation I can't remember which cylinder it is, but these really had problems with keeping oil on the right side because the engine's in the middle of the car, they didn't quite get all the cooling stuff figured out, which probably isn't going to be a problem for a normal person. But if you do any kind of track days and stuff like that, they were fine. These were having all kinds of problems on the tracks early on because but there's some fixes to that. There's a oil pump that you can add on there. Like our friend John Ortiz got one of these with low miles, and he DEs and he drives the shit out of it.
What year is Ortiz? Do you know?
I believe his is an 06, so it's basically the exact same car, same color and everything. Right. I mean, look, you're probably going to be fine. I always say, I always caution people, the early ones, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. The IMS hasn't been upgraded, blah, 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 all the normal 996 and M96 stuff. But chances are you'll probably be fine. I mean, you roll the dice here. This car isn't terribly expensive, and what do you get that's this great a car? Immediately put a IMS upgrade in it and put that oil pump in there and have fun and drive it. And if it blows up, well, all right. I mean, at least it's not a $200,000 Ferrari that just blew up. Right. I don't know. Beautiful car, great driver, like you said, great starter Porsche. Where's this thing sitting? What's
JP? It's at $32,000 essentially, $31,830 on 14 bids. Again, way out in New York, but man, you're hard pressed to find this era of Cayman, especially an S, especially a stick that is basically unused. It's almost like a leftover car on a lot. Yeah. It's brand new. One more thing about maintenance too, and I'm sorry to harp on this.
No,
do it.
But these cars had a bunch of little problems when they were young. The camshaft seals leaked, the rear main seal leaked, right. And those are not catastrophic failures, unlike the intermediate shaft bearing. If that fails, engine's toast. Camshaft seal leaking is not a big deal, but it's going to cause a mess, and it's ultimately going to cause more of a problem if you don't take care of it. If you drove this car normally, like most people, you buy it and you go drive it, those problems pop up, those little problems pop up while the car is still under warranty, right. And 99% of them, all that stuff was just fixed. You just, it got a little oil leak. Okay, you take it to the dealership. Yep. They give you a Boxster to drive around for the day. They fix the problem. You come pick it up. No problem, right? But
sweet.
Yeah, when it's not in warranty anymore, this is a 12-year-old car. It's your problem now. Now that little camshaft seal leak that that was warranted and the Porsche dealership paid their back of the house, $1,500 to replace is now your $1,500 check that you got struck.
And
it sucks.
It does suck, and it's just a hassle. You got like what essentially is a brand new car, and then you come out to the garage to drive it, and you notice there's drips under your car, and every time you start it up, it smokes, and you're like, "Damn it! Like what? This thing is like brand new. What's wrong with it?" So we're not trying to poop on a car. We're trying to help you make an informed decision. You got to know. You got to be honest about what these cars are and what they are not. And we love them to death, but we also it's like you take them eyes wide open, knowing what you're getting into. Yeah. Certainly Ortiz does, and has taken every precaution so that he can go wail on his.
And he does, like, hard. So there's the other side of the spectrum. People say, "Oh, the IMS." Well, I mean, his is just smashed hard. Yeah. Hard driven car, and it's fine. Yeah. But his has got like 50,000 miles on it. He did all the maintenance, and it's great.
Yeah, he put a big old wing on his thing, and he's flying.
He's a fast driver.
JP, I think at like $32,000, I think this car still has like $6,000 in it. I don't know.
Especially on Bring a Trailer, people are going to look at this and go, low miles. Let's get low miles. They just get. Paul mentioned it yesterday about the low mileage kind of fog that people get.
Right. I think a dealer might try to get over 40 for this, but it would take them months to sell. I think Bring a Trailer is going to trip this car for $38,000 today. It'll hit the reserve, it'll sell, but I'm not positive it'll bring $40,000. It's just not special enough, like these cars didn't have limited slip differentials. It doesn't even have sport seats. It's cool because it's an S, and it's unused. So $38,000, I think that's a fair bet. What do you think?
I'm going to bet on stupid and go 39. I think it might break 40. I'm going to play it close to the vest. I think that'd be a bad buy for someone, but someone's going to be tickled pink to get it and think they got, I got a brand new Porsche for only $40,000. Well, good luck with that. Yeah. Okay.
Get a warranty. Yeah.
Yeah. Get the warranty. Is this from a dealer or is this a private owner?
No. It's private owner, but you could go put a drivetrain warranty on that car for like $1,800. And if the IMS fails, you just made $10,000. I mean, that's just saved you $10,000.
For sure. All right. Moving on. What's next?
All right, JP, we have a super sub today. It is a 1992 Range Rover Country SE. You know, we looked at that one that was like really in super clean condition, that white one the other day. And so I couldn't help but notice this one out of Boston, Massachusetts. Little bit older. You said that the 95, I think it was, had some updates. And this car is sort of prior to those updates. And it's on Cars and Bids, I think, not bring a trailer. So with 182,000 miles, this is the 3.9 liter V8 automatic all-wheel drive. You know, it's not the long wheelbase. Looking at that rear door, it looks like it's a little bit shorter version than the one we looked at. But black and tan is absolutely a cool color for these Range Rovers. I just thought it was a neat one to take another look at on a different platform, on a different coast at the same time of the year and see what the differences are. Our car here is no nonsense, no stories, little to no modifications. It does have a Borla exhaust and a Pioneer head unit and some very good recent service history. So this car looks like it's been kept up by all accounts. But $15,000 on 16 bids, where that last one was pushing, wasn't it like 25, 30 grand? We were looking at that last one.
Yeah,
so what do you think here? If we go to Boston, Massachusetts to get a little bit older one, does that hold it under 20 grand or are we in for a late run on this car? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll find a late run on this because, I mean, look, this is the Hamptons and, Maine and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you see. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer with a wood down the side, and then one of these is just kind of like that classy Long Island kind of thing. If you live on Long Island and don't have to commute to the city, this is your car. If you don't, because you do not want to try to go into the city and back in one of these regularly. You're looking for some hurt in your life if that's something that you're going to do. But God, what a beautiful truck, and just a hunk of junk, but beautiful at the same time. And in some place like the Northeast, I think Connecticut, Long Island, Maine, any of those places, this is just such a classy, great way to drive around, go get your cup of coffee and, have your cashmere jacket and, drive around. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I don't think it's worth a whole heck of a lot of money, but we are seeing them climb up. So where's it at right now?
Yeah. At $15,000 on 16 bids. And you're in. If you buy this car, you're in for heavy service, heavy maintenance. You better have a trusted Land Rover expert, not even a British mechanic. You want somebody that knows these vehicles because they have so many unique idiosyncrasies. It's got to be somebody that's been doing it for 20 years to work on the car. And
have it covered by somebody like Haggerty so you can be in their driver's club and they'll tow it as often as you need to if you're in the if they cover the
AAA.
Yeah, well, AAA only gives you 5 tows a year, so that's actually kind of it's an interesting thing to bring up. Is that a lot of the classic car insurance coverage will include unlimited towing for vehicles that are covered by them, and I know personally that's something that Haggerty does. And Haggerty doesn't pay us for this; they should. We do need a little Haggerty button on our show, but that is just a personal. I had my Speedster towed many, many times by Haggerty. Thank you very much, guys.
No, JP brings up a good point. With just 5 tows a year on AAA, if you own an Alfa or a Range Rover, you're liable to use those all up in 1 year.
Yeah, in a month if you have both of them. All right, where's this going to land? Let's move on.
All right, JP. I think this car is going to bring $18,000.
Okay, and then where is it at now?
$15,000.
With how much time to go?
Oh, a long time. Love you, long time. 16 minutes.
I'll go 16 minutes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then I'll go $1,000 over where it's at. I don't think it's going to go much further. Right. This is Cars and Bids. It's just
for sure.
All right.
And it's the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's get to the last car.
Last car, Ford Bronco Sport. I just thought this was really neat. In light of the car we did yesterday, which was that K5 Blazer, this is a similar era, similar look, similar appeal, 2-door. Big V8. This one has a 351 Windsor, which was a replacement for the stock 302. But it isn't all modern, modded out with like 18-inch wheels and a Coyote motor. This is still a 3-speed manual with a period-correct V8. That top pops off. And what I like is that this car is resto modded, but it's all the pieces that are on there look like they would have been something you could have upgraded to in 1970 when you would have had this car for a year. So by that rationale, I really like this particular Bronco, even though I'm not a fan of all these modern Broncos that are being sold for $200,000 and $300,000. Yeah. So to me, this is a more appealing and less expensive grab. Our car is sitting at like $42,000, JP, in Fresno, California, on like 9 bids or something. Not a ton of action, but it is on Bring a Trailer, and I wouldn't be surprised with the way values for these style of vehicles are going that this car wouldn't have a late run. There could be 2 or 3 guys waiting in the weeds to bid this thing up. And by that rationale, I think this car could bring similarly big money. It's already over what the K5 Blazer brought at. And correct me if I'm wrong, the Broncos are a shorter wheelbase, right? This is a smaller vehicle.
Yeah, way smaller vehicle.
Yeah. So I would, for the money, I'd rather have the K5 Blazer, even though I love the look of this Bronco. But for the right person, maybe this makes sense because you can park it in a garage or something. So what do you think, JP?
Yeah, look at the picture of this car. It's such a great looking car. I mean, this looks like a stomper toy. It doesn't look like a real car. Like those first pictures where it's like in a lot. I mean, at the first I'm like, is this a toy car? Is someone selling a model car? I mean, it just doesn't look real. It's so the boxy proportions are so fantastic. And you're right, it's all period correct. Yeah.
Yeah, the cream on the removable hardtop, the fender wings, the wheels, and the grill and bumpers. And then of course the Ford Bronco tire cover. I love how they did that. Like whoever curated decided that's what I want for the car. Fantastic job. It's really got eyeball.
I am not a Bronco fan. I'll go ahead and say it out loud. Yeah, I don't like them. I mean, I never have. I've always been a Blazer guy. If I'm going in this style, especially the K5s are so much better. I've never understood the absolute just fanaticism over this style of Bronco, and I'm really, above all, I'm more of a CJ person. If I'm looking at a 4x4 rig of this era, it's absolutely a CJ version. Right. That said, I do really love this car, and like you said, it's not all done up modern and stupid, because most of the people that buy these have the worst sensibilities. They're NASCAR people, and that's just awful. Yeah. So yeah, it's they'll slap on all the modern stuff. This one's all period correct. I know we're saying that over and over again. So
no, but it's true. It's a valid point. And it's interesting too, right? You look at the old Wagoneers and Suburbans, you look at the old Broncos, and you look at the K5. And JP, I'm not on your dovetail. I'm serious. Like the K5 to me is like the Three Little Bears. It's just right. Yeah. The Bronco's too small, and Suburban's ridiculously too big, or Wagoneer's too big. To me, the K5 is the perfect size to do everything. So I agree with you. The other thing that you mentioned out too is like the beige, the off-white trim on this. Cream color, the cream really makes the red not so red, because usually red is like the last color you want on something like this, because it's too much red goes. You can have too much red in so quickly. Like if you painted the mirrors red or something like that, or the wheels would be like right. But this is just the right amount, and it's the shade of red is also period correct. Yeah. And it just because otherwise, I mean, I would way rather see this in like the whole thing being beige with black trim, or like an off-white or a silver or a gray or something. But I am totally down with this red. This is pretty darn cool. Still rather have the K5 because I think you can get more truck for less money. But someone is going to love it. What do you think it's going to land at? I think it's going to break 50, JP. I'm going to go ahead and say $51,000 because of everything we just said, even though I prefer the other vehicle.
This is BAT. I think it's going to go even higher. The Bronco fever is a thing. That 351 Cleveland engine is so dope. Did you watch the video? It sounds like a muscle car at idle.
It
is, man. I mean,
it's a lumpy motor.
My folks had a country Squire with that engine, and I remember driving, and that was one of those baby crap yellow with the wood panels. I mean, it was right out of American Vacation, but it had that big 351 in it, man. And I got to tell you, that car was fun. You could smoke tires all day long in that family wagon. It was embarrassing to look at, but holy crap. So this car, it's got to be a good time.
All right, so what do you think, JP? What's your number?
54.
Okay, good guess. That's a wrap.
That's it, guys. Another episode of Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day on Cars and Bids. Bring a Trailer and all the popular automotive enthusiast auction websites. Wow, that's a mouthful. On behalf of Patootie, our producer. What's that?
That watch us. All those automotive websites that watch us.
Exactly. On the behalf of our producer, man, now I'm slurring all the words here. Our producer, Patootie. We've got Rochelle and Lee, our staff photographer, Antonio, and all the other people that help out on the show, Esther and everybody else. Thank you so much for for helping out. And we will see
Paul
you
from
tomorrow.
yesterday.
Paul from yesterday, thanks again for showing up.
Yes, thank you so much, Paul. We had a great time with you yesterday. Thank you a million times over. Thank you.
We will see you tomorrow for the last episode of the week during the 9 o'clock hour. We do this Monday through Friday, so if you want to nerd out every day with us, we're here for you. We're nerds, and we're always nerds. It's not like we take a break being nerds. So there it is, Monday through Friday. Join us. Subscribe, like, hit the share button, notification button, all that kind of stuff. Let everybody know that the channel exists, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. See you, Michael D.
See ya. Nerd in 80s.